Are you one of the 75% of contractors whose financial statements are inaccurate? Find out. Click on the link in the show notes and you'll get a free P&L and balance sheet check.
This is Contractor Sense with Ruth King.
Welcome to Contractor Sense. Here you discover ideas, tactics, news, and information that matters to your contracting business and you. I'm your host, Ruth King. This episode is sponsored by Financially Fit Business. Get the business tool that makes your financial statements come alive, turn data into impactful graphs in less than 2 minutes. Go to www.financiallyfit.business and get started today. Thank you for joining us. Here's how we will help your business and you. The 5 Ds of business that you need to be aware of and protect yourself from. A few weeks ago, Justin Maxwell gave us all the ways to identify and predictably reduce taxes. He mentioned the 5 Ds, and we didn't have time to cover them. I was intrigued. So I asked Justin to come back, and he'll give you the 5 Ds that you need to protect yourself and your business against. Justin is a partner at Big Life Financial who transforms high-performing business owners into true owner investors, guiding them to integrate taxes, investing, protection, and exit planning for generational impact. Justin, welcome back to Contractor Sense.
Happy to be here again, Ruth, and excited to jump into the 5 Ds.
Yeah, my pleasure. I mean, last time we just didn't have time because we had all the other stuff that we had to cover. But I was, you mentioned them all. And then I was intrigued and it's like, okay, we got to do a whole segment on the 5 Ds because they're really, really important. So before we dive into them, why don't you give everybody the 5 Ds?
Yeah, so the 5 Ds are this: death, disability, divorce, disruption, and disagreement. And those 5 Ds are an always present risk for every business owner, every human, honestly, that are always potentially affecting or negatively have the potential to negatively affect their wealth in a could be tragic way at many times.
Well, the thing is that, we've got our heads in the sand. I mean, we're so busy running our businesses until we get whacked on the side of the head with something like this coming, and then it could kill us.
100%. And the data is actually a lot higher than people I think would imagine. Now, there's always some ambiguity in data, but they say about 50% of businesses are sold because of one of these 5 Ds. So that's the reason they're being sold. They wouldn't have sold it had not one of the 5 Ds happened. So that's a very high percentage of businesses that are forced to exit or sell prematurely because of one of these 5.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the death one first, if you don't mind. I had a client, is the operative word. He was in his 40s and had a massive heart attack and died. And his wife didn't want the business. And obviously, he hadn't done any planning. He was 42, 43, 44, somewhere around there. And his wife sold it off in a fire sale. I mean, it's crazy.
Right. It's terrible because there's a lot of factors here that go into death. So number one is they've lost all the earning potential for the rest of however business time was going to be there. They've lost the value of the business because they just wanted to get rid of it. So that's millions and millions of dollars that family missed out on because they didn't preemptively plan around you can't prevent death. That's not what I'm trying to say, but you can prevent the wealth negatively being impacted because of a death. That 100% can be put to the side. Now, you're never going to have the emotional side. That's all but we have the money handled paired with, now I don't have to worry about the money. I can now grieve appropriately. And you have millions and millions of dollars that stay with you because you handled the death piece really well and prepared for it.
So I've heard some really horrible statistics that some get sold because of death because they've got to pay the inheritance taxes. Have you seen that?
Yep. They have a $200 million business and there is no way to pay the estate tax. The founder of this is 75. And so we're putting things in place. They're going to both limit the estate tax. So now it's going to be less. We're putting life insurances in place so that death benefits can pay for it. But if they had not done this, No one in that family has the liquid cash to pay that estate tax. So now the business would have to be forced to be sold. But they're preemptively planning. They're trying to solve the problem. But had they not started the planning, that would have been a problem for this family 100%.
Yep. So just, be aware of it. It's not a fun conversation. The insurance is not a fun conversation, but it's also something that, it protects your kids, it protects your wife, it protects everybody who are your employees. You know, None of us know when we're going.
Correct. And it protects your business partners. Like buy-sell agreements are really important for this type of thing, so that spouses don't have to be involved in the business with people, and your business partners probably don't want to be business partners with your spouses. So all of those things prevent that.
No, they don't. I promise you. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh like that, but I've seen it.
No, it's just this reality, and I think it's good to have a good humor to it, because the humor can teach. And so I think that though it's not a fun conversation, there are things that you can do to preemptively help this. And so I think we've hit those: the life insurance, the estate planning, the tax planning, like all of that plays into allowing the wealth to stay in the family despite the death.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's talk through divorce and then we'll take a break. So divorce, we all know divorce, right?
Divorce is really, really hard. I'll just share a quick story of a client. This is a true story. I'm not going to share names or anything. It will be very ambiguous, the industries or anything like that. But I did have a client that they'd built a very successful business. They had about a $25 million net worth. And then the divorce happened, and she walked away with $4 million from that. Now, people are saying, well, that's a whole bunch of money. She should be grateful, but not when it was 25. So, divorce destroyed the wealth that had been created. The business fell apart. They're exiting the business now because they were business partners. Like, the divorce causes problems because you have to split everything 50-50. You have to sell businesses at times. Like, who keeps the business, who doesn't? No one wants to keep it. We're forced to sell it now. Like, lots of things can happen in divorce, specifically when they get ugly, where both parties start to resent each other and even say hate each other, where they start to punish each other. That's when wealth really gets destroyed because of a divorce.
So how do you avoid that one?
That one is a lot harder. But there are things that can be done. So I'll just share a few that. So prenups can be a great way to do it. And not, I won't say great, but a way to solve it. Making sure that you have the conversation in, like, the operating agreement. If we have a divorce, this is how we're going to proceed. So it's already been laid out, the path, so that's the way you're going to follow, instead of letting your vengeful self or your heartbroken self make your decisions for you. So you're preemptively doing things. And then when it comes to wealth side, most states, this is just another value add for things like life insurance, permanent life insurance specifically. Most states do not allow permanent life insurance to be distributed amongst divorce. So you would keep your wealth, they would keep their wealth of whatever was in their individual life insurance policies. That is one way to keep some things, but you're not going to have everything in there. It just is a matter of trying to preemptively do it. Divorce is a lot harder to deal with in all reality.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, if somebody wants to get in contact with you, how do they do that?
The best way is, I think, honestly, just reaching out to me on the social media platform. So I'm very active on LinkedIn and Facebook and most of them, but you can just reach me at Justin D. Maxwell. If you type that in, you'll be able to find me on all the social media platforms.
Sounds good. We'll be right back. Thanks for listening to Contractor Sense. Imagine you had total freedom. You didn't have to worry about money. You didn't have to be a slave to your business. The words "I can't" are eliminated from your vocabulary. What if you could do what you want to do, whenever you want to do it? A financially fit business could give you that freedom. How? By knowing what your financial statements are telling you and taking action based on what they say. You can do this in less than 10 minutes a month, at an investment of less than taking your family out to dinner once a month. And if your financial statements are a mess, you can get help. Go to www.financiallyfit.business or click on the QR code below to get started today. We're back. Thanks for listening to Contractor Sense. I am talking with Justin Maxwell, who is a partner at Big Life Financial. And before the break, we did the first 2 Ds of the 5 of death and divorce. Now, in the time we've got together, we've got disability, disruption, and disagreement. Which one do you want first?
Let's just go in that order. So let's go with disability. People don't like to admit it, but the percentages and chances of you getting disabled is a lot higher than anything else that you actually have, short-term disability specifically, than any other of these Ds out there. And so the way you prevent disability is from impacting you is you don't be the only source of the income through the business. So it's not solely driven by you as the business owner. So if you're the operator that's on site doing everything and you're not there, no money is made, that makes it really hard when you're disabled for 3 months, that no income is coming in, you're losing clients, you're having to pull from investments to survive. Like you're damaging your wealth in that way. But if you have the ability to have a team of people that you're running and leading, you're now not subject to disability hampering everything all at once. So income can still come in, revenue can still be generated. And then just like death, there is insurances that can help pay for up to 60% of your income at a given time, which can give you a stopgap in the moment. But disability is something, again, we probably can't control, but those 2 things in my mind are the ways that you could preemptively prepare for the chance that disability would disrupt your wealth.
Okay. Now, that's the perfect segue into disruption.
Yeah, it really is. So disruption is the ability, this is like our economy is constantly changing. You have Trump putting tariffs on things, which are raising the prices of things. That's a disruption to someone's business. You could have wars that do it. You can have markets that do it. It could be AI that does it. Like things are always happening around us, and disruption is always a threat where our market could be down. COVID was an example of a disruption where things were called essential and not essential. We couldn't work, things of that nature. So these are harder to foresee, but the way that you can start to at least sort of be on top of it is going through scenarios preemptively around what happens if prices increase. How are we going to change our P&L? Like, what are we going to do to keep our profitability up? It's going to be looking at and understanding the macroeconomics of your market and what is coming, what is not coming. So you're reading trade magazines, you're going to trade conferences to kind of get a sense of what is happening in our industry, and are there things on the horizon that could be disrupting us. But there are things that you're not going to be able to see, and you could be disrupted. Like COVID, no one knew that the whole world was going to shut down.
No, not at all. But I think from a disruption perspective too, there are some things that you can also prepare for. Not only this stuff, but let's assume that we have a hurricane. You prepare by not having everything's in the cloud now rather than in your desktop and stuff like that too, right? I mean, that's disruption.
Correct. Yeah, that's a great point, Ruth. I think that's an extraordinary example. That's another way to prepare. There are some other insurances. I know I keep bringing up insurances, but you're handing risk to the insurance company. That's why we pay them. And there are like overhead business expense insurances. There's, for companies large enough, there's their own private captive insurance companies where you're creating your own capital insurance company that you are a part of that could be a help in those times to give you capital if there was a large disruption that caused a break in income and revenue.
Yeah, I mean, think about when Katrina hit. Think about when some of the latest hurricanes hit. I mean, it was crazy. It was absolutely insane. But, those people who had the ability to have all of their stuff in the cloud, not everything, but, the majority of it, could go find someplace that had an internet connection and go log on and go back to work.
Right. You're back on schedule. And I think the common theme with all of these that we're hitting at is this is really just choosing to prepare. Like you're not choosing to bury your head in the sand. You're choosing to step out and prepare. And even that you can't eliminate every risk, but you're going to be mobile enough that you've prepared enough that you're going to keep yourself above float, which is what matters most.
Absolutely. And finally, we have disagreement.
Yep. Disagreement can usually come in one of 2 forms. A disagreement with a business partner about the direction of the company that you're going, or I want to exit right now and this other person wants to keep growing the company. or a disagreement between a vendor or a supplier or a manufacturer can also cause problems, specifically if they're a primary or a huge source for your company to supply supplies or materials or things of that nature. Those types of disagreements can also cause problems if they were offering at this price and then you had a disagreement with them and now you can't get it at that price, and that disrupts your whole business plan and your whole margins and all of that. So those are two of the usual disagreements. I'm sure we could think of others, but those are the primary two.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it, you piss off a supplier who's your main supplier. Not exactly a good idea.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I have found just with me personally and with partners and stuff like that, I have one hell of an attorney who really writes great buy-sell agreements, in terms of being, if one wants out, here's the process.
Yes, 100%. I love that. And people don't like paying attorneys, but that is so valuable.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh. Yeah.
Because here's the issue that can happen too is their disagreement with you could be triggered because they had one of the 5 Ds happen to them, and now they're not thinking the same. So you have no idea what other people around you are gonna do. You can only control what you're going to do. So by just preemptively doing things, which can and oftentimes is insurance expenses and legal expenses and spending time thinking and planning around this, though it costs money and time, it's likely that one of these things is gonna happen to you, and you'll be thanking yourself that you put the money and time into it preemptively.
Yeah. I mean, none of us like to talk about any of these 5 Ds, but, it's something's gonna happen. And if we're prepared and, and you've got the idea for preparation and making sure, I mean, you deal with all this all the time, right?
Yeah, this is a part of our like, if people are working with us, they're doing this level of planning, like, so these are the conversations we have with every single one of our clients is how can we start eliminating risk, and sometimes it can be overwhelming because it's like, well, where do I start first? And it can, like, you get analysis by paralysis where everything is just so big. So you just take it one thing at a time and you're not trying to do it all at once, and just one stone at a time and one step at a time, checking off that risk and that risk and that risk. And then 3 to 5 years in the future, all of a sudden you're a very protected person. You're very empowered to go forward and go as big as you want. And um, you're ready for when the storms get wavy and stormy again.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So to get in contact with Justin, go look him up on social media, Justin D. Maxwell at Big Life Financial. Did I get that right?
Correct. Yeah. That's wonderful.
All right, Justin, thanks so much for being with us today.
Yeah. Thank you, Ruth, for the time.
And thanks to all of you for joining us. Choose one thing that you discovered and implement it in your business. These ideas, tactics, and strategies help you make more money, have more free time, and give back. If you like today's program, spread the word. Please review this podcast on any device you're listening to it on. Help a fellow contractor make more money too. For comments or questions, call me at 770-729-0258 or email Ruth King at hvacchannel.tv. Thanks for listening. Have a great and profitable day.